Hey there everyone, welcome back to the 2022 USBCs. This is the final match between Spector and Nickell. Spector is 27 imps ahead going into the 6th segment of play, so there's 45 boards left, and let's take a look at the hands from the segment. Okay, taking a look at the scorecard, Nickell picks up 14 imps, so they will only be 13 imps behind at the end of this segment, and wow, there are a lot of swings. Very few absolute push boards. We have a couple that were just decided by some over tricks. And actually the only 20 imps that Spector got in this segment were boards 23 and 28. Two game swings, it looks like, where the Spector team in the closed room was a little more aggressive in their bidding, and it paid off in a big way, it seems. I'm kind of curious to take a look at board 18. One of the pairs for the Nickell team found an excellent save, it looks like. So let's have a look at that board. All right, in the open room, East in first seat elects to open 3 clubs. Favorable vulnerability is definitely one of those positions where we want to preempt the auction if it makes it even just the slightest bit difficult for the opponents to find their fits and bid to the right contract. That's a huge positive for us at teams where a game swing can cost us 12 imps. So over the 3 club opener, South makes what looks like an excellent bid to me of 3 no trump. He's saying, well, if I have 7 diamond tricks, I have clubs stopped. Hopefully partner has some cards over there. So South could have just overcalled 3 diamonds with his hand, which would be more of, a descriptive bid. He has a single suited hand in diamonds with some values, but in terms of making a game, 3 no trump certainly has a better chance than 5 diamonds, just because you need fewer tricks, only 9 as opposed to 11. North bids 4 diamonds over this, which looks like a transfer, and South completes the transfer by bidding 4 hearts. It's notable that West doesn't take any action on this deal. His partner is the one who preempted, and oftentimes when your partner preempts, you just want to lay low for a while. You don't need to get hyper aggressive about trying to double the opponents or make a sacrifice. Your partner has already forced them to guess, and I think I talked about this a little bit last time with the concept of doubling down. We don't really want to be doubling down on positions where we've already forced the opponents into a difficult spot. So the opponents have guessed to bid 4 hearts. We're pretty happy. We have what looks like 2 trump tricks, the ace of spades, to maybe defeat this contract. And let's take a look at what we can do on defense. So West elects to lead the king of clubs. This is a great opening lead. It is partner's suit, which means hopefully we'll be able to set up or even cash a club trick. If we can get a club trick in with our ace of spades, hopefully, and our 2 natural trump tricks, once again, hopefully, queen, jack, 10 of hearts, that would be enough to defeat the contract. So let's just see what happens. Declarer wins the ace of clubs, and note how East plays the queen to show his partner that, yes, we do have a club trick to cash. So if you get in, make sure that we cash our club at some point in the hand. Declarer leads a heart to the ace and gets the bad news in trumps, the 4-0 trump split. It's a little strange, I would say, that West did not split his honors. Declarer could have put in the 8 of hearts and really put one past him here. But I suspect Declarer probably didn't want to risk that and figured that West may just naturally split from this sort of holding. Point being that whenever the king of hearts gets played, we can play the 7 on that trick, and therefore playing an honor to force out the ace would not be the worst scenario for us. We would never get caught in some position later on where we would have to make a difficult choice, or maybe splitting the honors gives Declarer some opportunities for like a trump coup later in the hand. That just doesn't seem to be the case here, but West elects not to split, and Declarer doesn't go for maybe a safety play, maybe not. It's hard to say exactly. of putting in the 9. So now Declare elects to cash 2 diamonds to discard his club loser. And since all of the diamonds are now high, he gets to just continue leading diamonds. West is going to be trumping with natural trump tricks, so he does, but at this point the spade has been discarded from dummy. West returns a heart, and then another diamond discards a falling spade. West will get the ace of spades, but that's the end of the tricks for the defense. So, well played by Declare here. Not really faltering after the 4-0 trump split, and preserving that King of Hearts entry to his hand in the off chance that things were just going to work out for him. Worked really well. So, let's take a look at the other table. At the other table, East elects not to open in first seat, and 3 clubs is definitely an unusual bid, holding a good 4-card spade suit. When you preempt 3 clubs like this, you're very much, you're basically never going to find a spade fit in these kinds of auctions, so you give up on that in exchange for the preemptive value of the opening bid. So East at this table elects not to conceal his 4-card spade suit, not to, I guess, massively distort his hand shape, where normally 3 clubs would show a 7th card, might even show a better club suit than just Queen Jack 10. But I think more importantly, he wants to keep spades in the picture. Spades being the master suit means that we can bid over whatever the opponents end up in. Okay, so South in second seat then gets to open the bidding and chooses 1 diamond. That looks like the most natural thing to do. West overcalls a spade. I guess West could have alternatively tried to make a takeout double, but overcalling a spade makes sense. We have a 5-card major suit, and if necessary, we can rebid 2 hearts or 3 hearts even later in the auction to get across that we have both majors. North bids 2 clubs, which is alerted as showing hearts. That's an unusual treatment. I don't even know if I've seen that before. And I had played against these guys many times in the past, but I don't recall this exact auction. I suppose that leaves open the possibility of double being something else, but maybe 2 clubs is just a forward-going bid with hearts, showing 5 or more hearts, and they still play a negative double. East elects to jump straight to 4 spades, and I think this is probably the only reasonable choice on East's hand. Given the vulnerability, we are favorable, so we are always going to make a save of 4 spades over 4 hearts. Additionally, 4 spades might just make. We do have a void, excellent trump quality, and a decent side suit. But this is going to cause the opponents to guess a lot of the time. We know they have a heart fit, since partner didn't make like a Michael's Q bid or something to show both majors. So 4 spades is going to put the maximum pressure on them. We aren't sure if we want to sacrifice in 5 spades over 5 hearts if they get there, but it also might be the case that they don't bid up to 5 hearts. You never know. So I like the 4 spade bid. South elects to double. He doesn't really have a heart fit. Again, his partner's heart bid could be based on a 5-card suit, probably. So he's not convinced he has a fit. He has some aces and kings, but he doesn't really want to bid up to 5 diamonds on his own. So all in all, I think this was a great auction by everyone at the table, and we get to 4 spades double. North on lead leads his singleton diamond. It's his partner's suit. This makes a lot of sense. Diamond goes to the king. The ace of diamonds gets cashed, and North discards a club. We get the ace of clubs cashed. North follows, and another club is led. Ruffed. Now a heart gets led through, and it is important to note that North did not lead the ace of hearts here. He led a small heart. No reason to concede the ace. This could just set up hearts for Declare, but all in all, a pretty good play. And even if Declare did have the king of hearts and led this right around to the king, we might still be preserving some sort of heart tennis or heart control that Declare would still have some difficulty cross-ruffing the hand. So declare now takes a spade finesse, which loses. We'll pull the last trump, and all of Dummy's clubs are good to discard his heart losers. 2 down, and only a 300-point save, so against a game, that is 10 imps to, or 10 imps? 8 imps, I think. 8 imps, yes, to the Nickell team on that board. Let's take a look at one of these games that, you know what, nope, I'm backing up. I'm sure that these games were very well bid and played at both tables, but I do want to take a look at the 5 spade action, which went a little astray in one of the rooms. So in the open room, Nickell and Cats here have South opening a club. I think they're playing 2/1. So South was in first seat, opens a club, and West did not find a bid on this auction. This is very strange to me. I mean, West has an exceptionally strong hand, and sure, South did bid our best suit, which is clubs, but we have another 5-card suit, which is diamonds. I would expect almost anyone to overcall a diamond here. Maybe one of the reasons why West didn't do this could have been some sort of state of the match consideration, although I don't think that should play a part with, you know, about 40 boards left to play in the match, and the margin not being particularly large going into the segment, only 27 imps. So it is very peculiar to me that West decides not to bid diamonds. Maybe his plan was to show a 2-suited hand with both minors later in the auction, but we'll see if he had an opportunity to do that. North, of course, bids a spade, great spade suit, and East, I think, has options about whether to bid, but chooses to pass. I think East's most logical alternative would have been to bid 3 diamonds preemptive. The hand is just nowhere near strong enough to overcall 2 diamonds, showing a real hand with a diamond suit. So, but a 3-diamond preempt would normally deliver a 7th diamond. All that being said, I like East's choice of pass. South bids 2 spades, and this, I think, is West's last chance to come into the auction. He elects not to. Again, I would say a very strange decision all around. We have a void in the opponent's suit, so our hand looks very offensive. And if we find a fit in either clubs or diamonds, yes, South opened a club, but he might only have a 3-card suit, so we could still have a 10-card club fit over here. And we can, of course, have an even larger diamond fit. Then we might make a game of our own, or we might have a cheap sacrifice against their ultimate 4-spade contract, which it looks like they're headed to. So I'm not a huge fan of West's actions on this hand, either the pass over a club or the pass over 2 spades, although I think the bigger fault is not bidding over a club. If you do come in with 2 no trump here over 2 spades, North might have diamonds, South might have clubs, we could get into a lot of trouble in this auction, and we've forced ourselves up to the 3 level now. So, as I mentioned many times, always a good idea to enter into auctions as quickly and cheaply as possible, and then get out if it's not your hand. But North elects to raise to 4 spades, and that ends the auction. East, I have to imagine, will lead his singleton club. He does. We're going to get 3 rounds of clubs to discard, or for a ruff. Declare is going to pull trumps. He'll use the jack of clubs to discard his heart loser, and then he'll have 10 tricks. So that ends the play for this hand. Let's take a look at what happened at the other table. South once again opens a club, and West at both tables elects to pass. They must know something I don't. I'm really not a fan of this action. I do understand that our diamond suit is very weak, but it feels like we really need to find a way into these auctions if we can. But okay, after West pass, North bids a spade, and here East does overcall 2 diamonds. And, you know, look, if your opponent's not going to overcall a diamond with this hand, yes, you probably should be bidding with East's hand. But it does put a little strain on East's range for this kind of bid. East is not a passed hand, and normally these two-level overcalls would deliver a strong suit with about an opening hand. And this 7 count is not particularly close to being an opening hand in terms of strength. But we get our sort of lead directing diamond bid in. We do have a real suit. And we do have a singleton, a bit of shape, singleton and South's opening suit. So our hand isn't worthless, but we have some defensive values, queen, jack, third of hearts, which kind of makes us want to keep quiet a little bit. The 3 small spades is just a disastrous holding for us when North has bid a spade. Any sort of spade, if we end up declaring a diamond contract, South is surely going to lead spades, and they might take the first 3 tricks in that suit. Or take the first 2 tricks and get a ruff, something along those lines. So, all in all, I mean, you get put in a tough spot when you have hands like this where you really want to say something in case we find a fit, but you could be getting into a lot of trouble if you do so. But over 2 diamonds, South jumps to 3 spades. The singleton diamond definitely helps in this decision, despite having what looks like a fairly minimal opening hand. Aces and kings are great. The trump support is excellent. We don't like the jack fourth of clubs, but you know, he does have 13 high card points, and they do open a little bit lighter than some of the other pairs in this field. And West elects to bid 4 spades. I wonder if that is suggesting even bidding on over 5 spades. Because this bid is committing them to the 5 diamond level already. And I don't think West is looking for a slam, although maybe he could be. If his partner has a singleton heart and the queen of clubs and the ace king of diamonds, that would be a 9 count where slam is making, right? We would just lose 1 heart, all the spades get roughed in our hand, hearts get roughed in partner's hand, our clubs are good, we can pull trumps. So actually I kind of take it back. Maybe West was looking for a slam with his 4 spade bid. Little does he know that partner has less than a minimum for his 2 diamond overcall. North elects to try 5 diamonds. So I think what North is looking at this point is that some preemptive bidding has happened. His partner has jumped to 3 spades, which normally would show better than a minimum opener. And we can tell that that's based on his singleton diamond, but North doesn't know that's what South is bidding on. And given that North himself has a singleton diamond, he probably expects that his partner has some diamond length over there. Little does he know that West has a 5-card suit in support. So if his partner really does have some diamond length, then he must be bidding more on high card strength as opposed to distribution. In which case, you know, the jack of spades is not a particularly useful card, but it's only 1 high card point. His partner must have a lot of values in both hearts and clubs, which means their side could make a slam. So North was fishing for a slam with his 5 diamond bid, hoping that partner's ace of diamonds was, for example, the ace of clubs, or something along those lines. And he was probably expecting that they would be fairly safe at the 5 level, or maybe the opponents were actually making 5 diamonds, and 5 spades would be a good sacrifice. Because he has very long trumps, it's possible one of the opponents has a spade void. All these things probably push North to suggest offense as opposed to defense with his hand. I like the decision. I have always been a bit wary of bidding myself at the 5 level when I have a singleton in the opponent's suit, and I tend to be more optimistic when I hold a void in their suit. But for all the reasons that we've mentioned, North elected to push on to 5 spades. So over 5 diamonds, East, of course, is very happy to get out of the auction, passes. South signs off in 5 spades. He's not very thrilled about his 3 spade bid overall, in general, and 5 spades ends the auction. East elects to lead the queen of hearts. This, of course, makes some sense, but as we can see, his singleton club may have worked out a little better, or at least it would have gotten the same result faster. For the defense, the reason we might choose to lead the Queen of Hearts as opposed to our 10 of Clubs is that oftentimes in these auctions where the opponents are pushing for a slam, and it really feels like they are due to the 5 diamond bid, it's because they have good values in the suits that they've already bid themselves. So North might be expected to hold some sort of club support for this bid, in which case the 10 of Clubs lead might just be wasteful. It could give up the opening lead. It could help Declare guess the Queen of Clubs. It could tell Declare that clubs are not splitting well. And for all of these reasons, we don't want to give away that information if the lead isn't immediately going to benefit us. So that's probably the reason why East elected to not lead a singleton club and went after Hearts instead. Hearts, he has a good heart holding in terms of honor strength. Therefore, if his partner has the ace or king of hearts, we might be able to actually just set up and take a bunch of tricks immediately in that suit. Declare wins the ace of hearts and starts pulling trumps. He needs to pull 3 rounds. And then Declare leads a small club. West hops up with the king to hold the trick, sees his partner's 10, and plays a heart back. This forces out the king. Declare persists by trying to set up clubs, but the defense have set up their 3rd defensive trick in hearts and beat the contractor trick. So all in all, at the table for the Nickell team, they did find a way to get into this auction, and they managed to overcall in diamonds, find their fit, and find a good sacrifice. How bad is 5 diamonds? It looks like they lose a trump and 2 hearts. So it would be 1 down, which is much better than 4 spades, given that 4 spades is just making. That would be a large swing, I guess, probably about 8 imps for the scores of 420 versus minus 100 for doubling and defending 5 diamonds. Yeah, and the Spector team just never really found their diamond fit, were not able to get into the opponent's auction, and as a result, they gave up a game swing. So, looking back at the scorecard, we see a lot of small swings to the Nickell team in this segment. 1 imp, 2 imps, 3 imps, 2 imps, 1 imp, 2 imps, 5 imps down here. These add up, and I think throughout the rest of the event against the teams in the semifinals, quarterfinals, round of 16, the Spector team was picking up all of those small swings against their opponents, and that jumped them out to these large leads that you see. But Nickell's fighting back here. And if it wasn't for these 2 game swings, which we didn't take a look at either of those, but they really kept Spector in this segment, Nickell may well have pulled out to a lead. So that's going to do it for the 6th segment. Spector is now up only 13 imps with 2 segments, 30 boards to play. Join me again tomorrow as we take a look at some boards from the 7th segment. See you then.